Do you know how we're all taught? Treat others how you want to be treated. Well, I'm going to go with treat yourself how you want to be treated. We'll start there. Now, unfortunately, for so many of us, we were not taught how to treat ourselves in order to expect a similar treatment. We were told to be, especially as women, self sacrificing, to be overgivers, to be extremely empathetic towards others, but not towards ourselves. So we're left with a void. Okay, before I get into that, I want to introduce myself. I'm April, and if you are new to this channel, because this channel is new, I created Floria as a safe space for women to explore their divine feminine and to begin to embody and awaken this way of being in order to heal this wounded part of the feminine that most of us have. I also want to take a moment to thank OVME. I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, but I went and got my first under eye PRP. I'm on day 2 of healing after having my own platelet-rich plasma injected under my eyes to just make them feel refreshed and restored and renewed, and as a natural way to do something that allows me to feel my vibrant young self. I feel very grateful. They are not a paid partner of this, but I do feel very grateful that this is an option out there amongst all of the other cosmetic procedures like fillers and Botox. This instead is one that is very natural, and it's using your own body's beautiful energy to regenerate. So now let's get into the juicy bits. This is tender. This is tender for us, okay? So we were taught as women that we are supposed to be givers. We are supposed to be empathetic towards others. We are supposed to put everyone else ahead of ourselves. But my love, that does not give us queen energy. I don't know if you've ever watched The Crown, but if you haven't, there is a pivotal moment for Queen Elizabeth. She reads a letter from her own grandmother that encourages her to present and put herself forth as queen, to put aside everything else. And in that moment, she has to step in front of her husband as this way to show, I am the queen. They are in union, they're married, and she has to grapple in a moment before she steps off the plane. She steps in front of her husband. If you don't watch the rest of the series, that's okay, but that moment is a very clear image of what we must do for ourselves. We must step in front of everyone else, not because it's selfish, not because we're going to be narcissistic and self-centered, but because in order for us to feel like the queen of our life, because nobody else will do that for us, we must embody and treat ourselves in this way. Ooh, it feels so dangerous saying this because I know we feel guilt, we feel shame, we feel fear. But what if I'm seen as selfish? What if I'm seen as narcissistic? What if I'm seen as, so what? So what? I say so what because no one else is living your life. And as you present, as you embody, as you step in front of everyone else you've been serving your whole life, parents, siblings, your spouse, and then your children, you're putting all of them ahead of you, ahead of your needs. So then you're showing up to yourself with the depleted energy of like, okay, what can I give myself now? What can I finally do for self-care to kind of feel better? It's so draining to your beautiful energy. And the more you embody that queen energy, and you embody and you give yourself the queen treatment, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like sitting down with a full plate of food and a cup of coffee and eating your breakfast completely. Not getting up for anyone, not running around. Yes, we have toddlers and babies, so that's understandable. But if you can make that space to take a decent shower, if you're a mother, these are real things, to do your hair, to not feel rushed to read a book, to take care of your body without looking at the clock going, okay, I've got 30 minutes and then I've got to do on to the next. I've got to do because somebody is expecting something from me. That's not how queen energy functions. Queen energy is, here's what I need to take care of me. When my cup is full, I can pour out. I can serve and care for and nourish everyone else. That's the queen energy. And I know when I first watched this episode of The Crown and I watched her step in front of her husband, I was like, oh, how could she? Just, it's like rejecting his masculinity. It's all of these things. I felt the indignation for him. But then I looked deeper at this, at my own feminine wounding, and understanding that that came from a place of believing I'm responsible to serve everyone else. Everyone else is equal to me or better, so I should be in service to them. And yet, that action she took was for that queen role. It is for her people. It was for all of those things. And I'm not praising and lauding, monarchy and queens in that the way that like they did everything right. This is just a moment that I want us to embody, understanding that standing in our sovereignty as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, is so important and so vital and so beautiful because it sets immovable standards for you. So let's say you're out in the dating world and maybe you've been in a relationship for a while, things weren't working, you expressed your needs, he wasn't responding, whatever the case is. And you go on a date and you set a standard. He must be respectful. He's going to pay the bill. He will show interest in what I'm talking about. He will open the door for me and pull out my chair. Those are all things that you can desire and want. And if he's a good man, he will do those things for you because he's a gentleman, and that's what we're looking for. And let's say he's talking a lot about himself, and you end the date, you go home and you say, well, he was cute and he paid the bill and he opened the door, but he didn't really ask me much about myself. And you start to do this, well, maybe I'll go on another date and maybe he will show me, or maybe we'll have another phone conversation and he'll ask me more about myself. Nope, my love, the standard is here. That next message that comes through is hopefully from you saying, we're not a fit. Thank you so much for a beautiful evening. Enjoy your life. But it's something very simple that we have to be completely and entirely and utterly comfortable because it's safety for us. It's safety for our body, for our emotional well-being, to be in a place of that standard of sovereignty for that queen energy. So you go out, grocery shopping, and you're a mom, so you're buying everything for the kids and you're thinking of your husband, and then you get to yourself and you're like, well, I'd like these couple things. No, make sure you're nourishing yourself so you feel whole, so you feel energized. Or you feel guilty getting yourself something nice because maybe you were taught that it's vain or whatever. Who cares? The only person that should care is you. And if you're not caring for you, you can't care for others the way that you actually want to be seen as truly empathetic and truly loving and caring and nourishing, because it's not coming from a masked space where behind the mask is deep pain, resentment, suffering, frustration, infuriation with all of the men in your life, and it's coming from your own inner frustration of not being able to serve and love yourself and stand in that queen energy that you so desire. Some of those standards that are immovable is, let's say you planned to read for the evening and you get a text from someone and they're like, hey, come out, let's do something, or it's a boyfriend or it's your husband, and they want your attention. Of course they want your attention. Of course, your energy is so delicious and so beautiful and so yummy. Remember that. However, You told yourself you were going to nourish yourself by reading. You were going to give to your mind, your body, your soul, whatever you're reading, whether it's fantasy smut or an amazing, nonfiction about farming. Who cares? It's something you plan to do for you. And instead of putting the book down and saying, okay, I'll go out, or let me, hear my husband out, or pay attention to them, no, this is time for me, that I have decided that I'm nourishing myself. I'm going to take care of me. And when you're done and you feel that, like, goodness, I know you do. When you put the book down after you've read enough, you're not feeling the guilt of like, oh, well, maybe I'll only read for 20 minutes instead of the whole hour that I thought. You put it down and you're like, oh, yeah. The rest of my body, the time to read, my brain feels good, my nervous system is reset. I took care of me. You'll feel it and you'll know it, instead of like, okay, 10 minutes instead of the hour. And then you put it down and you rush off, and you didn't truly get to be nourished by that time that you wanted. Similarly, with how anyone speaks to you, your queen energy is not responding and verbal vomiting back. You can just hold the space. They might be angry, they might be upset with you, but you're not upset. They might say horrible things about you to your face in a moment, but you are in your own peace and your own safety and your own self-trust. So it's not necessary for you to react back, is it? It's tough. This is all deep, tough work, and we're going to go much deeper and much deeper. But this is a reminder to myself and to you, just being reflected out into the world. If we want the queen energy from everyone else, our spouses, our boyfriends, our girlfriends, or the random person, Bob, on the street, we have to hold it in ourselves so deeply that it begins to shine and radiate from us. So it's just a natural response from people to treat you with that kind of dignity and respect. I love you so much. Leave in the comments anything that you've experienced where you felt a shift of, queen energy from like being the servant and the slave, the victimized slave, to queen. Let's chat, let's open dialogue, because I want to know, what is it that's keeping you from feeling that? All right. Love you. I'll see you soon.